Hello, everyone. We have here Michael Duni, our casting associate and a director in his own right. And today we are going to talk about how do agents best book actors on shows that we cast, but it's really applicable, I think, to many, many casting offices, frankly. But we're very willing to share with you the intricacies of how we work with agents. And I think we break it down into four categories. It's not, all of these things are mandatory, necessary, and continue to develop over a long period of time because of relationship with an agent. Cultivate. So communication, collaboration, trustworthiness, and taste. So let's talk about communication. When you're on a show, what do you expect?
Phone calls. Got to talk on the phone. Get a sense of who you are, get a sense of your actors through you, and what you care about. If you know the show, if you are someone that is easy to speak with, if you're someone that I jive with, that I want to work with, someone that speaks my language.
That's short and succinct enough to get the work done, not a long conversation. And someone who calls back immediately if we place a call. And we're old school. We really are old school. A lot of people do major things by email. I cannot tell you, the other day I called to give feedback to an agent and they weren't there and I left a message and they emailed me and they said, can't you just email all the feedback, please? And I was insulted and I wanted to have a discussion about their actors. I wanted to have a discussion about the nuances of character. And I emailed them back and I said, I'm old school, I'd love to talk, please call me. And they never called me. And I take it personally, I really do, and I probably shouldn't, but
well, there's so much just in your voice that can be picked up. I mean, there's nothing like human-to-human interaction, I guess.
Exactly. And then, if it is email, in terms of communication with someone's availability, communication with where they're really based, even if they are a quote-unquote local hire, or if they're a quote-unquote modified local hire, if you're doing a show based in Baltimore, and their actor happens to live in New Orleans, but then works out of Atlanta, but then has a home in Maryland, it's like, we don't want to know every single detail. That takes 10 minutes. But we need to know the pragmatics that if wardrobe calls them and they have a Maryland house that they are working out of, that they aren't going to be able to be in wardrobe or costumes in 2 hours.
Right. Yeah.
Because we get the brunt. I think that's what agents might not understand. We get beat up for not knowing that information, or better yet, not for not knowing it, but for leading everyone else in production to believe that they're immediately available.
And then that also strains the relationship, of course, from casting company to actor, casting company to agent. So yeah, it's not good for anybody.
No, it's not good. So being really, really upfront, and I think that goes into trustworthiness, because if you're honest and you are upfront and you say the facts as they are, you say they are technically available, but they are recurring on this other show. They may not work this episode, or we don't have them booked yet for this episode. Like, all that information is so good. It's not going to mean that we won't consider your actor. I mean, sometimes maybe it will. You never know. But it's really, really important to know that availability and that location, and to trust that you are being honest and giving us the full picture, especially if someone happens to be in LA and then they say they're an East Coast actor. I can't tell you how many times
and especially with TV. I mean, there's just no time. There's no time. And radical schedule shifts all the time. So
yeah, and the very best agents, I love the phone call we got fairly recently, and it was like, you know what, they're based in LA, but they have a family member who has, whatever, they can take flights at a drop of a hat. They will be available here, there, and the other. Or sometimes agents call and say they will be in town for this amount of time, especially over the holidays. Yes. An actor will be here for this amount of time. That kind of communication, that kind of trustworthiness, that makes me call and know that they're going to give it. I don't have to ask 7 questions to get the answers. They give us enough information,
Yeah, they can anticipate.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Anticipate. And then that really ends up being a collaborative experience because once you have that communication and that trustworthiness, you can start collaborating on things. And really, when we're looking for something in particular, a lot of times when time is short, we sometimes, not a lot of times, but sometimes, rarely actually, but sometimes we ask the agent for their 2 cents, like, here are the sides, we can see 3 of your actors, who are the very best, which is going to lead us to taste in a minute, but who are the very best ones that you think will book the role, is essentially the question. You know, it's not who are the best actors, it's who is the most appropriate for the show, for the genre, you know, for the level of part, if it's a co-star, guest star, for films,
who,
you know.
Who books in this genre, who can pull this off? And you do have those great collaborative phone calls where they'll pitch someone and you say, no, not quite, and you can kind of adjust them and guide them. And then the next time you have that kind of conversation, it's more on point, and you start developing, you know, and you start anticipating one another.
Exactly.
It can be a beautiful relationship.
It can. And there are a few agents, one the other day just called me and said, you asked so-and-so to tape. Is there any way you can give me feedback because they're a new client to us and we would like to shape their careers a little bit and let us know? And I just thought, what a great agent. Yeah, what a great agent. Absolutely. And that goes into taste because you have to know your client. You have to know your clients. You have to know their resumes. I can't tell you, and I hate to give negative examples, but I can't tell you how many times I've called an agent, I've asked them to just tell me about their actor, because I'm unfamiliar with them. They did a phenomenal audition, perhaps the director's interested, but I need to know more about the actor in case I'm asked, in case I want to share something, etc. And I hear the agent click, 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 click on the keyboard, and then they literally read to me their resume, which I already have up on my computer. I can read the resume. So knowing your actors beyond the resume is so important. Knowing, you know, how they trained, what they're like, you know, anything that is possibly applicable. I mean, for some shows we need a lot of physicality in the role. So knowing that they were an all-star gymnast in high school, that's really interesting, you know, and it makes them more human and more castable in a lot of ways.
And for I guess a positive example,
Thank you.
We'll have some submissions where it's maybe a more specific role, and I'll see an agency didn't submit for that. So maybe I'll give them a call, and it's really refreshing when they say, you know, we didn't have anyone right for this. And I'm really impressed by that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you see so much just kind of a smattering of everyone who could work maybe. So it's nice to see that specificity, even if that means no one's submitted.
And it proves not only they know their actor, but they know the show.
Right, yeah.
And that's really good. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that will help you do a better job as an agent to represent your amazing, talented actors, and we'll get a chance to work with them and know them. Subscribe. Say subscribe.
Subscribe.
Okay, good. He said it, so subscribe.